potentially different.
There's like two levels.
Yeah.
One is understanding that we're on the arc of an evolution, a revolution, kind of, in which the old paradigm is dying.
Yeah.
The old paradigm is for the love of power rather than the power of love, to quote Jimi Hendrix. And that's dying, but we're in the midst of it.
Right.
And so right makes might, profit basically trumps everything. That's the old paradigm. And that's dying now because it's not sustainable. But we're in the middle of it. So on one level, our spiritual practices gives us a level of protection from the electromagnetic disease and the energy. It's like at Agape, for instance, I had certain devices in the community. I didn't tell the community about it, but eliminated 4 and 5G, eliminated all the elf ways, eliminated. So when you walked into the sanctuary there, you were not affected by that stuff because I bought the equipment and put it in the sanctuary.
Right.
But here's the deal. When they came in to put it in, they would measure our auric fields with dowsing and things of that particular nature. And then they would plug in the equipment, and they would show that once they plugged in the equipment, the auric field would be very expanded because we were no longer being impacted by the debris from the electromagnetic fields. But they looked at me and they says, yours didn't change. They says, yours just stayed expanded, whether we plugged it in or didn't plug it in. They didn't know who.
Your individual.
Yeah, my individual auric field. Yeah. So they said, well, he's the teacher. And they said, oh yeah, in other words, my practice kept me protected. However, I did use the technology.
Sure.
And I have technology that I use in my home, in my car. If, I have a hybrid, so the battery is not healthy.
Right.
So I have to have a certain level of technology in my car that does not allow that battery to affect me. So I tell people, get some technology until you can actually hold the field yourself.
Right.
So we're in a space where a lot of what's out there is not good for us. It's harmful. That electromagnetic debris is harmful to us, harmful to our immune system.
Serious pollution.
Serious pollution to the immune system. It creates a condition for disease. A lot of the diseases that people are having right now is because they're in this soup of pollution, electromagnetic pollution. So you have to have a spiritual practice, and then you have to find what technology works for you. And they're not that expensive, by the way.
There's a lot out there. Some of them are a little not grounded and maybe taking advantage of it. And there's some other stuff. I actually was just talking to a German guy this morning.
Norbert?
No. His name's Hagen. And when I actually his dad was an engineer. Mm-hmm. He was electrosensitive at 14.
Yeah.
He started learning from his father. He had to live in the woods in Germany.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are very sensitive like that.
Yeah, and so later in talking with him, he wasn't really sure how far to go, but I kept probing. I said, but how? Because he's got this device. You literally just set it here, and he's peer-reviewed research, no joke, right? And I go, but how did you really figure it out? And he basically leaned in. He said, well, it was kind of downloaded.
Yeah. He didn't want to scare you off.
Exactly. And then he implemented it, and then it was very important to him to actually have it validated.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of facing these things so that we can do something about it. And again, these things are pretty scary in the sense of we're just willy-nilly, 42,000 are supposed to go up by
the 5Gs?
Yeah.
I know, those are very dangerous. I have one in my home, a device that goes out 150 square feet up and down that stops all 4 and 5G from coming into my home.
Yeah.
And then I have a small one that's portable.
Oh, nice.
That you're in it right now because I have it in my pocket.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So it's about 30 feet.
Yeah.
And it's been verified, it's been tested. It's also out of Germany.
Right.
They're
good.
Those guys know what they're
good.
doing.
Yeah,
He's a scientist.
Around,
He's a scientist out of Germany. And
would you care to say their name?
His name is Norbert Hauser, I think. This is what it looks like. And then I have one around my neck, and it prevents anyone who's been vaccinated, it prevents any shedding.
Right.
And if anybody who has been vaccinated wears it, it eliminates the adverse effects of the vaccine, but keeps the good stuff.
Right.
He also has one for food. You just put it in your refrigerator, or you put it in your kitchen, and it knocks out all of the GMO stuff or any inorganic stuff in the food. It's quantum.
Yeah. It's cool.
So
yeah, and we're moving into that space pretty powerfully, and now we're able to get more sensitive equipment to be able to actually
you can test this,
prove some of these things.
Yeah.
And like this EMF stuff, the scary thing about it is that it's invisible.
Yeah.
Right. And if people aren't sensitive, they're just they're just dealing with it, but their bodies literally are being affected by it
every single day.
Yeah.
And many people have lost their sensitivity, because they're putting a lot of sugar in their body, carbonated drinks, food that doesn't have any nutritional value. So they're little by little desensitizing themselves. Then they're bombarding themselves with news, which lowers their frequency. And so then their body's on fight and flight all the time, and they get addicted to the cortisol rushing through their body, and they think that's normal.
Yeah.
They don't even know what peace of mind is.
Yeah.
They don't even know what ecstasy is, what joy.
Yeah.
They've lost their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many people listening right now, and what are some steps you think through the mind-body path? I know you have some personal visioning steps and programs and things, but what are some things that people can listen and they know on the soul level, what you're doing and what works and what doesn't. What are some things that people can at least start doing to start developing a better habit towards their kind of own peace? Let's just call that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, intention is very important.
Yeah.
Without intention, you are a ship in the ocean with no rudder.
Right.
You're just allowing you're living a life of reaction to whatever's happening in the world.
And there's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening, and so you're always reacting to it.
Yeah.
When you have intention, then your intention opens you up to inspiration. Like if you have an intention to be grateful, you have an intention to grow into your greater self, if you establish it's an intention, I want to be a better version of myself every day, then what happens is you become now available to obtain inspired thoughts from the infinite that guide you in that direction. Now, if you don't have intention, then you pick up thoughts from what I call the sea of mental garbage.
Right.
All of this stuff that's going on can then fill your mind and pull you in a direction where you don't want to go. So I say that oftentimes people are living, they have an intention deficit disorder. They have no intention.
Yeah.
So they end up being where they don't want to be, but since they didn't have an intention, then they're just pulled to anywhere. So like when I wake up in the morning, I go into a deep sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to exist, just grateful. And then I ask, what's my assignment for the day? I just open myself up. What's my assignment? And then I say, I'm available to have the strength and the wherewithal to complete the assignment that comes by my path. And then I have an intention to grow. So then I go out into the world, and whatever comes into my space, obviously I have, tasks that I have to do and things of that particular nature. Then I'm available, and I know I'm being guided from what I would call divine mind, rather than being pulled by human mind, you see, which is corrupt, and so that's on a spiritual level. Then going back to what you were saying earlier, then you make sure that you have proper nutrition, proper hydration, proper exercise, proper rest, you see. And then you make sure that, the most dangerous people in the world are people who don't have a vision.
Yeah.
They have no, so don't hang around with those people. If you're one of them, change.
Yeah.
Don't associate with individuals that do not have a vision of a greater possibility for their life, for their neighborhood, for the world, And I'm not putting anybody down, I'm not judging people, but you actually become the company that you keep.
Totally.
So if you're associating with people that don't have vision, are not speaking about higher possibilities, then you know where your life is going to be in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be no possibility, and you're going to be constantly reacting to the world.
Yeah.
That's we are cosmic beings having a human incarnation, and we're losing just a little tiny bit of our potential. And primarily that potential is being used for survival rather than thriving, rather than energetic creativity, generosity, beauty, art.
And it takes that conscious step, right? It takes that I'm intending today. I'm asking of myself something, and I'm opening myself up, and it feels, asking a question without directly getting an answer, in a sense, like, you're opening yourself up. And I think that's one of the greatest medicines that is not being used, period.
Yes,
right?
You're right on target. The universal presence through universal law will answer every question that you ask. So we have to have an appreciative inquiry. Most people ask the wrong questions. They ask, what's wrong? Who's to blame? And why me?
Right.
And the universe will answer that question, but it'll take you down a spiral of negativity, misinterpretation of your past. But if you ask, how can I serve today? How can I grow today? How can I give today? How can I be a better version of myself today? You'll get that answer. And it may not come like a voice in your head, but you'll start to be pulled into arenas that answer that question for you.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself month after month after month being in different environments, being better versions of yourself, and things that you thought were impossible to the small personality that you were last year, you're now living in a whole different frequency, whole different field, whole different group of people by asking the right questions.
Yeah.
It's, as you say, it's great medicine.
Yeah.